So we've just had the second attempt at the 2025 budget speech, and this time it went ahead. And I think from a market's point of view, it was overall a positive budget, bearing in mind that what is a good budget for investors is not necessarily what's a good budget for taxpayers, because we did see an increase in the VAT rate, 0.5% this year, another 0.5% next year, and also no bracket creep relief for individual taxpayers. Now those VAT increases are contentious, and the DA has already indicated that it won't support them, which means this budget will have to go into Parliament to be debated and potentially adjusted, and that will be the first time that's happened in 30 years. And that obviously does cause some uncertainty, but again, we are in a different environment now with coalition politics, and this is something I think we will have to get used to. The main thing is that the emphasis on fiscal consolidation and economic growth remains, and I think this is shared across all the members of the GNU, and therefore I think will not be changed as this budget moves through the parliamentary processes. So if we look at the fiscal deficit projections, for instance, they are very similar to the February proposals, and expectation is that the government's debt to GDP ratio will actually peak in this fiscal year and start drifting lower thereafter. So that is good. That is quite an achievement after many years where the debt ratio just increased year after year. Obviously, the emphasis on economic growth is important because the faster the economy grows, the quicker that debt ratio can come down. Treasury expects economic growth of averaging 1.8% over the medium term, but they're also putting in place a number of initiatives to actually accelerate that growth and that rate of growth. And those initiatives really revolve around infrastructure. The government's going to spend R1 trillion on infrastructure over the next 3 years, but it's also looking at various mechanisms to increase that amount by crowding in private sector investments through public-private partnerships, through concessions, etc. So that is very positive and I think very exciting for investors, because it does create a whole bunch of new opportunities for us to invest in. On the spending side, obviously, because we didn't get the VAT increase as proposed in February, the spending will increase by less, and some of that will be felt by slightly lower increases in social grants. But overall, I think the key thing that came out of the budget on the spending side is a proposed review of government spending. So Treasury will table next month kind of a look at government, broadly speaking, and what works and what doesn't work, and if there are areas where money can be saved. And I think that will be positive if implemented, and it will soften the blow of these tax increases that are clearly going to be quite unpopular amongst ordinary South Africans. So if we sort of tie all this together, I think it reflects the reality that South Africa does not have any easy choices left. We only have difficult choices, but we need to make those difficult choices well. And I think this budget is an attempt at doing so. Clearly, there is going to be some uncertainty as this now moves into Parliament, but I think overall the stance and the intention of this budget is positive for investors, and if we are successful in terms of implementing these policies, I think it is going to be positive for South African markets, not immediately, but over the medium to longer term.